qué has tardado tanto en hacer una película de terror?
I guess I'd never really been sent anything that was like this in the past. This was very unique. I love the script. It wasn't necessarily because it was horror. I just loved the ideas. I loved the themes. I loved the complexity. It just happened to also be a horror movie. So I loved all those elements.
¿Para ti qué es más importante, el género cinematográfico o el personaje?
Yeah, I guess it's a kind of subconscious thing. And the one thing I feel very fortunate about is that I've been allowed to do a lot of different things. You know, directors tend not to pigeonhole me. They allow me to, you know, come and play all these different characters and these different kind of films. That's what I'm really thankful for. I mean, it's partly, I guess, a deliberate thing on my behalf, but also, I guess it's a product of they're just the characters I find the most interesting. Sometimes they end up being in different kinds of movies. You know, I would have played Ralph in any film. If this was just a thriller, I still would have played him. He just happened to be in a horror film.
¿Cómo fue la experiencia de conocer al verdadero Ralph Sarchie?
It was a combination. It is based on a real person, Ralph Sarchie, who was a detective in the Bronx. He worked on our film with us. He was our police advisor, so I had access to. There was no escaping the real Ralph Sarchie. He was there every day on set, and is a lot of fun to be around. He's very intense guy. And there's no doubt that a lot of my character that you see on screen comes from him. You know, the way he sounds, the way he walks, the way he talks, the kind of inner turmoil that he has. I think there's a lot of that on screen, and I think that just came from, you know, me selfishly stealing a little bit of the real person.
¿Qué opinión tienes de los elementos espirituales y sobrenaturales de la película?
I found it fascinating. I came in very skeptical, but also shamefully uneducated. You know, I think the only thing I knew about exorcisms was what I'd seen in horror movies, like I think for most of us. So to learn a lot about the religious, the historical, the cultural essence to exorcism was really fascinating. Scott Derrickson, our director, knows an incredible amount, as does, you know, Ralph Sarchie. So to learn about it from a real perspective was both challenging and really fascinating, and made the film more interesting for me.
¿Tuviste pesadillas durante el rodaje de Líbranos del mal?
Well, I think the nightmares you have are the ones you have in, you know, pre-production and rehearsal when you're learning about it. But in actual fact, to film was actually a lot of fun. I enjoy the technical aspects of, you know, the tension and the timing and those sort of things, because I love working with directors and the cameraman in that regard, because it feels like a real team effort. But Scott, you know, has a lot of experience, and he was very specific about those beats. And I really enjoyed that. It was actually a lot of fun.
¿Hay algún género cinematográfico al que te gustaría regresar?
I think I've probably ended up with my career by just being open-minded, you know, and not being. I think if I tried to be really specific, I probably wouldn't have had the kind of career I've had. It would have been a lot more narrow focus. So I like to think I just continue to be open-minded. The only thing that I can't consider is musicals, because I can't sing, unless you need a character who actually can't sing in the show. But otherwise, I just keep reading until I find something that's intriguing and challenging and interesting to me. It kind of doesn't matter, you know, what kind of movie it's in. I just, you know, go with the character.